I heard the staple gun. Before I saw the paper. Sharp. Loud. Too deliberate for 7 a.m. I stepped onto my porch. Coffee still warm in my hand. And there it was. $10,000. Pinned dead center into my sign. Like a warning shot. The paper fluttered in the morning breeze. Bright white. Against old wood. Violation, visual blight. My jaw tightened. That sign wasn't decoration. It was my father's last project. Before the hospital took him. Hand cut. Hand painted. Every letter carved slow. Steady. Like he had all the time in the world. And now? It was labeled. Ugly. Something about that didn't sit right. Gravel crunched behind me. I didn't turn. Didn't need to. You've been notified twice, she said. Smooth. Almost pleasant. Linda Whitmore. HOA president. She always sounded like she was helping. Even when she wasn't. I kept my eyes on the sign. The wood grain still visible. Through the paint. He liked it that way. Said perfect was boring. 10,000? I asked. Flat. Controlled. She stepped closer. Perfume cut through the air. Expensive. Out of place against fresh paint and morning dust. Accumulated fines, she said. Non-compliant signage. A beat. It drags down the neighborhood. Drags down. Like it was a stain. Like it didn't belong. Across the street. A curtain shifted. Someone watching. They always watched when Linda showed up. That was her method. Make it public. Make it stick. That's when I noticed it. The case number. Printed. Clean. New. That wasn't there before. I pulled the paper free. The staple left 2 holes. Perfect. Too perfect. My grip tightened. You stapled this into my property. She smiled. Not wide. Just enough. We have the authority to enforce community standards. Authority. That word again. Always that word. My coffee had gone cold. I set it down on the railing. The silence stretched. Too long. Too deliberate. Then she turned. Heels clicking down the walkway. Already moving on. Like it was done. Like I didn't get a say. That part didn't sit right. I looked down at the paper again. Fine amount. Code reference. Signature block. Everything looked official. Too official. I flipped it over. Blank. No court seal. No jurisdiction line. Nothing. Just HOA letterhead. Pretending to be something bigger. That's when it cracked. Not the wood. Not the sign. The story. I stepped back. Looked at everything. The sign. The holes. The empty street. This wasn't about aesthetics. It never was. The next envelope hit my mailbox before noon. Then another. Same wording. Same tone. Numbers climbing. Faster now. Pressure building. Each one stamped harder. Like they were rushing. Like they needed me to react. And buried in the fine print. Past the codes. Past the threats. Past the numbers. There was a line. Small. Easy to miss. But once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. Because that line didn't give them authority. It proved they never had it in the first place. I spread the envelopes across my kitchen table like evidence. Thin paper. Same font. Same tone. Each one louder than the last. The overhead light buzzed faintly, flickering just enough to get under my skin. 10,000 became 12. 12 became 14. They were not waiting for me to respond. They were building pressure. Fast. I ran my thumb along the edge of one notice. Fresh ink. Printed recently. Not processed through any real court system. That detail mattered more than it should have. Something about the timing felt staged. I pulled out my laptop and opened the HOA bylaws first. Not the summary. The full document. 58 pages of rules, restrictions, and carefully worded control. I skimmed past landscaping, fencing, mailbox colors. Then I found signage. Section 4.2. It mentioned size limits. Placement rules. Nothing about content. Nothing about ugly. I read it again. Slower this time. Still nothing. That gap sat there like a loose thread. I leaned back in my chair. The wood creaked under me. My father used to say rules tell you what they fear, not what they say. What they avoid saying. I flipped back to the fine. Visual blight. Not a legal term. Not enforceable on its own. Just language dressed up to sound official. That was their move. Dress opinion like law. I opened a new tab. Federal statutes. First Amendment. Property display rights. Case law started stacking on my screen. Names I recognized from old headlines. Situations that looked a little too familiar. Homeowners pushing back. Associations stepping over lines they did not actually have. And losing. Quietly. Expensively. I clicked one case. Then another. The pattern sharpened. HOAs could regulate structure. Not expression. Not unless it crossed very specific lines. Mine did not. Not even close. I glanced out the window. My sign sat there in the dark now. Porch light casting a soft glow across the carved letters. It did not look like a violation. It looked like memory. That difference mattered. Another detail clicked. Every notice referenced compliance. None referenced jurisdiction. They were assuming I would not question it. That I would just pay. Most people probably did. That is how this worked. I picked up the first notice again and read the fine print. Really read it this time. Line by line. There it was. A clause about community aesthetic enforcement. Broad. Vague. And buried under 3 layers of wording. No direct authority. Just interpretation. That was the crack. Small. But enough. My pulse slowed. Not calm. Focused. Different feeling entirely. I closed the laptop halfway, then opened it again. Something was forming. Not a reaction. A response. The kind that does not argue. The kind that forces the other side to explain themselves. Out loud. On record. I looked back at the sign through the glass. The 2 staple holes were still visible from here. Small scars. Easy to miss if you were not looking. But I was. And now I could not unsee them. This was never about how it looked. It was about what they thought they could get away with. I reached for a notepad and started writing. Not complaints. Not defenses. Lines. References. Numbers. Things that carried weight outside of neighborhood rules. Things they could not just ignore. The pen scratched against paper, steady and deliberate. The same rhythm my father used when he worked that wood. That thought stayed with me longer than expected. By the time the clock hit midnight, I had something they were not ready for. And it was not a payment. I did not print anything that morning. That was the first thing that felt wrong. Instead, I drove 30 minutes out. Past the strip malls. Past the identical lawns. The air changed the farther I went. Less perfume. More dust. I parked in front of a small legal print shop with a faded sign and a bell that rang too loud when I pushed the door open. The place smelled like toner and paper that had been handled too many times. A man behind the counter looked up, slow, careful. "You need standard copies or certified?" he asked. That question mattered more than he knew. I slid my notes across the counter. Case numbers. Federal references. Exact language pulled from real court documents. He glanced down, then back at me. Something in his expression shifted. Not curiosity. Recognition. "How many?" he asked. "Enough to be seen from the street," I said. The printer kicked on a second later. Loud. Mechanical. Each page came out with a sharp snap. One after another. The sound filled the room. Steady. Certain. I watched the stack grow. Thick. Official. Not HOA letterhead. Not neighborhood rules. Federal language. The kind that carries weight whether people like it or not. Halfway through, I noticed something. These were not just words. They were boundaries. Lines that had already been drawn long before Linda ever picked up a pen. And she had stepped right over them. I paid in cash. No receipt needed. The man handed me the stack without another word. Outside, the sun had climbed higher. The light felt harsher now. I loaded everything into the passenger seat, careful not to bend a single page. On the drive back, I kept thinking about timing. They expected hesitation. Maybe a call. Maybe a payment plan. They were not expecting silence. And they definitely were not expecting this. When I pulled into my driveway, the street was quiet. Too quiet. Curtains still. No cars moving. But I could feel it. I somewhere behind glass. Waiting to see what I would do. I stepped out, stack in hand. The paper edges pressed into my palm. Sharp. Real. My sign stood where it always had. 2 small holes still visible in the wood. I ran my fingers over them for a second. Then I got to work. I did not rush. Every placement mattered. Every angle. I lined the first sheet up carefully. Straight. Centered. Then secured it. The sound was softer than the staple gun. But it carried. I added another. Then another. Each page layered with intention. Case titles. Legal citations. Federal wording that did not ask for permission. The sign began to change. Not in shape. Not in size. But in meaning. It was no longer just wood and paint. It was something else now. Something harder to dismiss. A car door slammed down the street. I did not look up. Not yet. I finished the last page and stepped back. The morning light hit the paper just right. Bright. Unavoidable. From the curb, it would be impossible to ignore. That was the point. Gravel crunched again behind me. Slower this time. Measured. I could feel her there before she spoke. The silence stretched just long enough to feel different than yesterday. "What is this supposed to be?" Linda asked. Her voice was tighter now. Not smooth. Not controlled. I turned finally. The papers reflected in her sunglasses. Rows of text she could not just dismiss as ugly. I did not answer right away. I let her look. Let her read. Let it settle. Because this time, the rules on display were not hers. And she knew it the second she saw the seal at the bottom of the page. She stepped closer, heels slow on gravel, like she was approaching something unstable. Her eyes moved across the pages, line by line. Not skimming. Reading. That alone told me everything. Linda did not read things she thought she controlled. Not like this. Not carefully. "You cannot just put legal documents on a sign," she said, but her voice lacked the usual polish. It caught slightly at the edges. I did not answer. I watched her instead. The reflection in her sunglasses shifted as she tilted her head, trying to process what she was seeing. Federal statute numbers. Case references. Language that did not belong to her world of painted fences and mailbox guidelines. Something in her posture changed. Subtle. But real. A car idled at the corner longer than it should have. Someone was watching again. This time, they were not just curious. They were waiting. "This is non-compliant," she said, firmer now, trying to recover ground. "You are escalating the violation." I let that sit for a second. Then I reached out and tapped one of the pages lightly. The paper made a dull, solid sound against the wood. "Read the bottom line," I said. She hesitated. Just for a fraction of a second. Then her eyes dropped again. There it was. Jurisdiction language. Federal authority. Clear. Direct. Not something she could reinterpret. The air felt different now. less controlled, less certain. A breeze moved through the street, lifting the edges of the pages slightly. They did not flap like the fine had. They held. That mattered. "This does not apply to HOA enforcement," she said, but the sentence came out slower than before. Less confident. I could hear it. That small gap between what she wanted to believe and what she was actually reading. I stepped back, giving her space to look at the whole thing. The sign was no longer just a sign. It was a statement. A boundary line drawn in plain view. And it did not ask for approval. A door across the street opened quietly. Then closed. No voices. Just presence. The neighborhood was paying attention now. Linda straightened, adjusting her posture like she could reset the moment. "You will receive additional fines for this," she said. The words sounded practiced. Rehearsed. But something underneath them felt off. I nodded once. Calm. Measured. Not agreeing. Just acknowledging the attempt. "Make sure you include the correct jurisdiction this time," I said. Her lips pressed together. Tight. Controlled. But not relaxed. That was new. She glanced at the top of the pages again. Then back at me. Then back at the pages. The loop repeated once more. That hesitation told me more than anything she could say. Because this time, she was not sure. A truck rolled slowly past the end of the street. The driver's head turned just enough to catch the sign. Then linger. The visibility was working. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just undeniable. Linda stepped back half a pace. Small. But deliberate. Distance. Space. Recalibration. "This is not over," she said. It was not a threat. Not fully. It sounded more like a placeholder. Something to hold on to while she figured out her next move. I picked up my cold coffee from the railing. Took a small sip. Bitter now. But steady. "It was never about the sign," I said quietly. She did not respond. Not this time. She turned instead, walking back toward the curb. Slower than before. Less certain with each step. The gravel sounded different under her heels now. Less sharp. More scattered. I watched until she reached her car. She paused for a second with her hand on the door. Did not get in right away. That pause stretched just long enough to matter. Then she opened it and slid inside. The engine started. But she did not drive off immediately. Something inside that car had shifted too. And I could feel it from where I stood. Because for the first time since this started, she had seen something she could not just control away. And she had not figured out how to respond yet. The street did not go back to normal after she left. It stayed quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet where people are listening without being seen. I stood there a little longer than I needed to, watching her car sit at the corner before finally turning out of sight. She did not speed off. She thought about it. That told me more than anything she said. I went back inside and closed the door, but the feeling followed me in. Something had shifted, but it was not finished. Not even close. My phone buzzed on the counter before I could set my keys down. Unknown number. I let it ring once. Twice. Then I answered. Silence for a second. Then a voice. Male. Calm. "This is the HOA legal office." That was new. They had not called before. Not once. Everything had been paper. Controlled. Distant. I leaned against the counter, eyes still on the window where the sign stood outside. "Go ahead," I said. A pause. Papers moving on the other end. "We need to clarify your recent actions regarding unauthorized postings." The wording was careful. Measured. Not aggressive. That alone felt off. "Which part?" I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. "The display of legal documents on exterior property surfaces." I almost smiled. Almost. "Those are public records," I said. "Displayed on private property." Silence again. Longer. He was adjusting. I could hear it. Shifting language in real time. The association maintains the right to regulate visual presentation within community guidelines. There it was. Back to familiar ground. I pushed off the counter and walked toward the window. The light outside had shifted. Brighter now. Harsher. The pages reflected it clean. Easy to read from the street. Then you should read what you are trying to regulate, I said quietly. The line went still. Not dropped. Not disconnected. Just still. Like he was looking at the same thing Linda had. Or had just been told about it. We are reviewing the material, he said finally. The tone had changed. Less certain. More procedural. You may receive further notice. I nodded, even though he could not see it. Make sure it is accurate, I said. I ended the call before he could respond. The silence that followed felt different from before. Not empty. Loaded. I set the phone down slowly. Something in that conversation did not match their usual pattern. They were not pushing. Not yet. They were assessing. That meant they had seen something they did not expect. Outside, a neighbor stepped out onto their driveway, pretending to check their mailbox. Their eyes moved straight to the sign, then back to their house, then back again. It was spreading. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. I stepped back from the window. Let the moment breathe. Then the second wave hit. A notification from my email. Subject line in all caps. Formal violation update. That was fast. Too fast. I opened it. Same formatting. Same tone. But the amount had changed again. Higher. Sharper. Like they were trying to regain control by pushing harder. And buried halfway down, new language. Something they had not used before. Potential legal escalation. I read that line twice. Slow. Careful. Because it did not read like confidence. It read like pressure. A bluff dressed as procedure. I looked back outside at the sign. The pages did not move. They held steady in the light. Clean. Clear. Unapologetic. The contrast was starting to show. Not just to me. To everyone watching. And for the first time, I realized they were not just reacting to what I had done. They were trying to get ahead of something they had already triggered. The email stayed open on my screen longer than it should have. That phrase did not belong there. Potential legal escalation. Not from them. Not from an HOA that had been hiding behind printed fines and polite threats. I read it again, slower this time. The wording was careful, but the structure was wrong. It did not point forward. It reacted backward. Like they were already responding to something bigger than their own rules. I closed the laptop halfway, then stopped. Something else was off. The timestamp. Sent 12 minutes after the phone call. That was too fast for a board decision. Too fast for a formal review. Which meant this was not coming from a full process. It was coming from pressure. Internal. Immediate. I opened the message headers. Technical details most people skip. Routing paths. Server stamps. It told a clearer story than the email itself. This was drafted quickly. Sent without full review. Someone was trying to regain control before something slipped further. Outside, the light shifted again. Late afternoon now. The shadows from the signs stretched longer across the lawn. The pages caught the sun at an angle that made the text even sharper. Harder to ignore. I stepped back to the window. Two neighbors stood near the sidewalk, not talking, just looking. One pointed briefly. The other nodded. Then both walked away without saying a word. That silence carried weight. This was no longer contained. It was visible. And visibility changes behavior. I picked up my phone again and opened the email once more. This time, I read what was not written. No mention of specific violations tied to the documents. No citation of authority over displayed legal material. Just broad language. Vague pressure. That was not enforcement. That was hesitation disguised as control. I set the phone down and walked back outside. The air felt cooler now. The kind of shift you notice when something is about to turn. I stopped in front of the sign and looked at it from the street. Not from my porch. Not from my window. From their angle. That changed everything. The pages did not look aggressive. They looked official. Structured. Like something that belonged in a courthouse, not a neighborhood dispute. That contrast worked in my favor. I noticed something else. A small car slowed as it passed, then rolled a few feet farther before stopping completely. The driver leaned slightly toward the window, reading. Not glancing. Reading. Then drove off slowly. That was new. The reach was expanding. Not through noise. Through clarity. I turned back toward the house when I heard it. Not footsteps this time. Paper. A soft slap against the mailbox. I walked over and opened it. Another envelope. Thicker than the others. Different paper. Different tone before I even read it. I slid it out slowly. The edges were crisp. Formal. Inside, multiple pages. More structured. More deliberate. This was not a quick response. This was prepared. I scanned the first line. Then the second. Then stopped halfway down the page. Because this one did not just mention escalation. It referenced a scheduled review. A formal hearing. Date. Time. Location. And at the bottom, a line that had not appeared before. External counsel present. I stood there for a moment, the paper steady in my hand, the street quiet around me. This was no longer just about fines. They had moved it into a space they thought they controlled better. A room. A process. A setting where they could shape the narrative again. But they had also just done something else. They had put everything on record. And records do not bend the same way letters do. I looked back at the sign one more time. The pages caught the fading light, still clear, still steady. Then back down at the notice in my hand. Because now, they were not just reacting. They were inviting me in. I did not sleep much that night. The notice sat on my table under a single lamp, the words, "External counsel present," pulling more weight than the rest of the page combined. That was not neighborhood language. That was courtroom language. And they had chosen it. Which meant they were either confident, or cornered. I read the time again. 2 days. Not enough for them to build something new. Just enough for them to try and contain what had already started. That mattered. I opened my laptop again, but this time I was not searching. I was organizing. Every case I had printed. Every line I had used on the sign. I pulled the originals, not summaries. Full text. Full context. If they wanted a room, I would bring the room with me. The screen light reflected faintly in the window, overlapping with the shape of the sign outside. Paper over glass. Law over wood. That image stuck with me longer than it should have. Around midnight I noticed something else. One of the cases I used had a follow-up ruling. Not widely cited. Easy to miss if you were not looking closely. I clicked it open. Read the first paragraph. Then the second. Then I stopped. Because this was not just about signage. It was about overreach. About organizations stepping beyond their defined limits and being corrected publicly. That word stayed with me. Publicly. I leaned back slowly. The chair creaked again. Same sound as before. But it felt different now. Heavier. I printed that ruling. Clean copy. No highlights. No notes. Just the text as it stood. Because sometimes the strongest statement is the one you do not have to explain. Morning came faster than expected. The air felt cooler, sharper. The kind of morning that makes everything look more defined than it really is. I stepped outside with a fresh cup of coffee and paused at the edge of the porch. The sign was still there. Pages still intact. But something else had changed. A second car slowed down this time. Not just one. Two. Both drivers reading as they passed. One even circled back. That did not happen before. The visibility was no longer passive. It was pulling attention. And attention creates pressure. I took a sip of coffee. Still hot this time. The bitterness felt grounding. Across the street, the same curtain shifted again. But this time it stayed open a second longer. Enough to show a face. Not hiding. Observing. That difference mattered. I turned back inside and gathered the documents. Not a stack. A set. Ordered. Intentional. Each piece placed where it belonged. I slid them into a simple folder. No labels. No colors. Just clean. Direct. The way it should be. My phone buzzed once on the counter. A new email. Short this time. No long explanation. Just confirmation of the hearing. Same time. Same place. But one added line at the bottom. Attendance required. That was new. Before, everything had been optional. Pay or ignore. Now they needed presence. That shift told me everything I needed to know. I locked the door behind me and stepped back onto the porch. The sun had just cleared the rooftops, hitting the sign at a low angle. The text almost glowed. Clear. Undeniable. I stood there for a moment, letting the silence settle. Not empty. Focused. Because this was no longer about convincing them. It was about making them explain themselves. And for the first time, they had put themselves in a position where they would have to. The building did not look like a place where power lived. That was the first thing I noticed. Low brick. Faded signage. A parking lot with cracks running through it like quiet warnings. But the doors were open, and inside, everything changed. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Clean floors. Ordered chairs. A long table at the front that made it clear where decisions were supposed to happen. I stepped in and felt the shift immediately. This was their ground. Or at least they thought it was. The room was already half full. Board members sat in a row, papers stacked neatly in front of them. Linda was there. Earlier than everyone else. That alone was unusual. She did not look up right away. She was reading something. Carefully. That detail mattered. A man in a dark suit sat 2 seats away from her. He did not belong to the neighborhood. You could tell by the way he held himself. Still. Measured. Watching everything without reacting. External counsel. That part was real. I walked to the back first, not the front. Chose a seat where I could see the entire room. The folder rested on my lap. Closed. I did not open it yet. No need. Not until they made their move. A low murmur moved through the room. Neighbors whispering. Not loudly. Just enough to fill the space between breaths. Then it stopped. Not all at once. One voice at a time. Until the room went still. Linda had looked up. Her eyes met mine for a fraction of a second. Then moved away. Too quickly. That told me everything. The man beside her leaned slightly forward, adjusting his papers. The motion was small, but deliberate. Like he was preparing to speak, not just observe. The meeting started without ceremony. No introductions. No small talk. Just rules. Process. Structure. The kind of language that tries to make everything feel controlled. Linda spoke first. Her voice had returned to its practiced tone, but it sat differently now. Less natural. More constructed. She outlined the violations. The fines. The escalation. Each word placed carefully, like she was rebuilding something that had already cracked. I listened without interrupting. Let the narrative form. Let it settle in the room. Then she mentioned the sign. The documents. Her tone shifted slightly. Not enough for most people to catch. But it was there. A hesitation on one word. Improper display. The man beside her finally spoke. His voice was calm. Controlled. professional in a way that did not belong to neighborhood disputes. He asked a single question. On what authority is the content restricted? The room went still again. Not silent. Still. That difference matters. Linda did not answer right away. She glanced down at her papers. Then back up. Then down again. The sequence repeated once. Small. But visible. Community standards, she said. The words sounded thinner now. Lighter. The man nodded slightly. Not agreeing. Just acknowledging. Then he looked toward me. Not inviting. Not dismissing. Just shifting the focus. That was enough. I stood. Slow. Steady. The chair legs made a soft scrape against the floor. Every sound carried in that room. I placed the folder on the table in front of me. Did not open it yet. Let the moment stretch just a little longer. Because timing matters more than volume. Then I opened it. Clean pages. Ordered. Familiar. I slid the first document forward. Not toward Linda. Toward the man in the suit. He looked down. Read the header. Then the first line. Then the second. His expression did not change. But something in the room did. You could feel it. A shift that did not need words. I placed the second document beside the first. Then the third. Each one building on the last. Not louder. Clearer. The air felt tighter now. Not tense. Focused. Because this was no longer about what they said. It was about what they could not. The man in the suit did not speak right away. He read. Slow. Precise. Each page turned with the same measured rhythm, like he was not just scanning, but verifying. That detail mattered. Because people who are confident skim. People who are unsure read twice. The room stayed still. No whispers now. No shifting chairs. Just the quiet sound of paper moving and fluorescent lights humming overhead. Linda's posture tightened. Not visibly to most. But I saw it. Her shoulders held a fraction higher. Her hands pressed flatter against the table. Control slipping in small ways. The man finished the third document and placed it down carefully. Not stacked. Aligned. That told me he was organizing his response already. He looked up. Not at Linda. At the board. Then back at the pages. These citations are accurate, he said. Calm. Flat. No emotion. Just fact. The air changed. You could feel it. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just a shift in weight. Linda leaned forward slightly. That does not change the violation, she said, but the sentence came out tighter than before. Less fluid. The man did not look at her immediately. He adjusted one of the pages again, aligning the edge with the others. Small movement. Deliberate. It changes your authority to enforce it, he said. The room did not react out loud. But something inside it dropped. Quietly. Like a floor giving way just enough to notice. One of the board members glanced sideways at Linda. Then quickly looked down again. That glance carried more than any statement. I stayed where I was. Did not speak. Did not interrupt. Because this was no longer my argument. It was theirs. The man turned one more page. The follow-up ruling. The one I found late at night. His eyes paused on a single paragraph. Then moved again. Slower. That was the moment. The one you wait for. Not loud. Not obvious. But real. He closed the folder gently. Not abrupt. Not final. Just enough to mark a boundary. If this proceeds, he said, you risk formal challenge beyond internal review. The wording was careful. But the meaning was not. Linda did not respond immediately. For the first time since I had seen her, she looked still. Not composed. Not controlled. Just still. Processing. The difference matters. A clock somewhere in the building ticked. Soft. Steady. It had been there the whole time. No one noticed it until now. That is how shifts work. They reveal what was always present. One of the board members cleared his throat quietly. Then stopped. Thought better of it. The man in the suit looked toward me again. Not as an opponent. Not even as a participant. More like a reference point. That told me everything had already moved past the surface. Linda finally spoke. "We will review this further," she said. The pause in the middle was small, but it broke the rhythm she had held since the beginning. The man nodded once. Not approval. Just acknowledgement. Process continuing. But on different terms now. I reached forward and closed my folder. The sound was soft. Final enough without forcing it. I did not need to say anything. That was the point. The room had already heard what it needed to. The chair behind me scraped lightly as I stepped back. A small sound. But it carried. People watched now. Not openly. But enough. Because something had shifted that could not be undone quietly. I walked toward the door without rushing. No one stopped me. No one called after me. The silence followed me out into the hallway. Cooler air. Dimmer light. The kind of space where noise fades faster than it should. Outside, the sun hit differently. Brighter. Clearer. Like the day had moved forward without waiting for the room to catch up. I stood there for a second, letting it settle. Not relief. Not victory. Something else. Something quieter. Because this was not about winning in that room. It was about what they would have to do next. And I had a feeling they had just realized that too.